growing your own food is power, and it's contagious. But I think the way we change it, Rob, we got to make it sexy. How do we make this just as sexy as weed and alcohol and fast food, and all these designer clothes? How do we make soil that sexy?
Well, I'd say that this is pretty sexy.
Yeah, I'd say this. You're in my office.
And again, I feel like the really good news is that I think, just since you really got involved in this, a decade or so ago, it is a lot sexier now than it used to be. I feel like today there's so many young people out there and older people who just think gardening is sexy, and that's why they want to do it.
Yeah, it is, and I'm proud to have been a part of that. That it has spread around the world, and people say, "Oh, maybe I should." And I think it was helped. I mean, with the pandemic, where a lot of people were fighting over food, and I think people woke up and said, "Damn, maybe I should be growing some of my own food." Because this could happen. There's no food shortages. There's distribution problems. And some of those distribution problems are by design. And that's what people need to realize. All this bad food, all these cancers, it's by design.
Yeah.
Who benefits from it? That's what. Who benefits from us being sick?
Like, one of the main missions of the Ron Finley Project is to transform food deserts into food oases and paradises. Do you see that? Like, do you feel hopeful about the decade ahead?
I don't do hope. I see opportunity.
Yeah.
And I always like to say I'll take a cup of opportunity over a boatload of hope every day. Because what can you do with hope? But hope something doesn't happen. No, give me the opportunity to make some shit happen. And people have it. It's called air. Okay, you're up and you're here and you're breathing. That's magic. I mean, so now, how do we get people to see the opportunities around them? People don't look at soil as an opportunity. How many people become billionaires, trillionaires with soil? We don't, but we have a negative view on it, which works for who? It works for them. That life comes out of it, and life goes right back into it.
Yep. The earth provides us with our needs.
Everything. I tell people, be the forest, not the forest. Be the forest. What happens?
Greetings, 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 all. Thank you so much for joining me on today, on April the 6th, 2024. I am Mama Ote, the Sister Ote of a Georgia Green Project. And what I'm doing today is making a record of the soft launch of the first book in our inaugural series. The book is called, the series is called The Basic Five, and this is the primer, which just means the introductory book. This is actually already in the second edition. And so I'm going to do some shout outs. I'm going to do some commercials, and then I'm going to just read a few excerpts from the book. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I believe that I know that we're also live on Facebook. I apologize that I don't have a moderator for that group yet, but please just drop any questions that you have in the chat here, either on Zoom or on Facebook, in the event, in the comments, wherever you see this broadcast. Just drop the comments. I will see them and I will respond to you. All right. So again, I'm Sister Ote of the Georgia Green Project. I am a food apartheid abolitionist. I am in the business of developing competent, confident, and sustainable urban gardening communities of practice. I'm going to put some links in the chat. So you don't want to do that. Y'all put some links in the chat. I'll wait till the end for that so I don't disrupt the flow. But I'm going to ask you to subscribe to the link tree, which will give you all the information that the Georgia Green Project, everything that's available. You can, at this point, these are the commercials. You can schedule a complimentary urban garden consultation. That gives you a half hour. You can either be an individual. If you want to come with a group of people that want to garden together, you can schedule that consultation. I will give some basic information enough to get you started. And then you can decide if you want to, retain my services to coach or not. That's one of the reasons why we have the book, so that you may not have to have them. Okay. And then the consult. So if you would retain my services, that would include this book, which is what I'll be reading from today, the Basic 5, the primer. And I also use, and these are textbooks, so it's an academic activity. It's a lecture lab model when I coach, right? We also have this Rodale's. You go to the link tree, you'll see an opportunity to go to the website. When you go to the website, you will see a calendula reading list, and the calendula reading list will have this book listed, how you can order that book at your favorite bookstore. So now this book here, you see, it is an 8.5 by 11, and this is a book where you are encouraged to write in it. I'm already working on the 4th edition. I'm going to do a new edition every other year because I'm going to learn new things. You all are going to give me suggestions to improve it. And like I said, it is a textbook. So, but you have opportunities to turn it on every page except some place where you can write. So we have some investigation notes in the back. So you can see that. This information is how you can see it if you go to the Amazon website. It's available in more than one place. But there's plenty of places for you to write and draw and respond to questions and prompts that take you through the Basic 5, which is the name of my curriculum. Okay, so let me see, make sure I have to make a list because we're only going to be here for a few moments. So I'm going to tell you that this does come in an 8.5 by 11. There is also a ebook. So you can purchase an ebook for a slightly reduced price. The advantage to the ebook is that all of the links will be active, hyperlinks. And like I said, it is an academic endeavor, so there are quite a few resources and references, footnotes, and things in this book. It's a glossary, things like that. Let's see. So I wanted to tell you. So I'm still doing commercials. All right. So more of the commercials is the coming matriculation program. So related to the history of the book. Maybe I'll tell you the history of the book and segue into the matriculation program. Okay, so I have been doing a Georgia Green Project was born facilitating holistic events, products, and services, which included, really, I wasn't doing anything around gardening other than sharing what I was doing on the social media. Long story short, 2020, in 2019, I had created the Basic 5 like a template to use with my individual coaching clients. And then 2020, the world stopped. So then I had to learn how to maneuver Zoom. And then in 2022, we came back into a more hybrid situation where we were virtual and in person. And then last year, I was able to receive some funding. Thank you, Food and Communities, to run a beta group. I was able to print what I should have said was we started with one sheet of paper back in 2020. And then by the end of that year, anyway, went from one sheet of paper to this document now here in 2024. The beta group was helpful in that because I received that funding, I was able to create like almost like a table of contents of this document I have here that I use to guide through the coaching process. Let me see. So I said that already. 2018 and 19 when I named the curriculum the 5 Points Planting Project. So that didn't really work because in the city that I live in a lot of cities, there is an actual place called the 5 Points. So people, when they saw that, they thought I was doing something on the 5 points. So then it became the Basic 5. The Soul Sisters, I started really coaching the Soul Sisters, which was a gardening club in 2020. In 2021, we applied some of those coaching techniques in a community garden at Shorter Community AME. Shout out to Pastor Tyler and the two Dr. Tylers, pastor and elect lady at Shorter Community AME, the Kaleidoscope Project, and their program directors. And I mentioned already 2023, the beta group with the special grant funding. Okay, I said all that. Excellent. All right, make sure I have my notes. All right, so I do have, want to allow people an opportunity to come in. So I am going to read some excerpts from the book. First thing I'll read to you is the back cover of the book, right? It says, so the book is called The Basic Five, the Primer, a guide for novice gardeners to cultivate competence, confidence, and sustainability. This is the second edition. Are you ready to embark on your journey into urban gardening? The Basic Five, the Primer, a guide for novice gardeners to cultivate competence, confidence, and sustainability, second edition, is the inaugural installment in a series developed to empower novice urban gardeners as they take their first steps into the world of gardening. In this introductory volume, discover 5 keys to becoming a competent, confident, and sustainable urban gardener. Those same 3 words, right? We're going to hammer that in. Number 1 is plan. Lay the foundation for your garden with investigative note-taking techniques. Plot. Design and organize your space in sustainable ways that encourage your creativity. Drawing, coloring, and map making are encouraged. Plant. Practice the art of placing your plants in a way that will establish a beautiful, healthy, flourishing garden. Plant at the correct times in the best locations. Pamper. Cultivate a greener thumb with an introduction to the essentials of plant care and maintenance. Pull. Harvest the fruits of your labor. Preserve them, store them, and maybe even sell them. Celebrate the success of your urban gardening venture. So I'm not going to do my resume here because I really want to promote the book. This is a soft launch. When we get to the hard launch, I'll give you a resume, but I will read what it says on the back of the book. It says, Robert Swinger Otey, also known as Sister Otey, is a food apartheid abolitionist and urban garden educator. Here I go again. You can find her developing what? Competent, confident, and sustainable. I'm supposed to emphasize those words. Urban gardening communities of practice in Northwest Aurora, Colorado, and beyond. Proceeds from all book sales support urban garden education. So I want to bring your attention to this phrase, communities of practice. I want to speak to you a little bit about that today. And then I'm going to share one video. We're only 15 minutes, and I'm going to share one video. Then I'm going to do the reading, and then I'll see if there are any questions from the participants I see here on Zoom. Don't really know how to maneuver y'all on Facebook. All right, so I want to talk about a community of practice. So you heard me mention over and over again that I'm in the business of creating communities of practice. And a community of practice is a social learning style, right? So I'm not just trying to teach people how to garden, and I'm really not even trying to be in the business of selling books. The books help me to do the coaching and the teaching, right? Will support that effort, whether people retain my services or not. Because anyway, and the community of practice has 3 components. I'm going to run a video. Maybe I'll show both the videos. They're really short, brief videos, but I want to give you kind of animated and a person talking just for those who have different learning modalities, ways to process information. Okay. Communities of practice. So we have there's different links I'll share where you can connect with us online, but a community of practice is not just a virtual environment. It's not just being a member of a Facebook group. It's not just even just reading the book, but a community of practice. And you'll see when I share the video involves actually doing that thing that you have in common, that you have this passion around, doing it as practitioners and learning how to do it better as practitioners. Okay, so I'm going to share that video. Thank you for your patience. Let me get to it. Share a screen. Over here. So we close you. And I will show. I'll show the young lady first, and then I will show the animated version. So let me make sure I'm sharing that. No, I'm not. So let me get here. Thank you for your patience. Trying to give you all the complete experience here. All right, here we go. And here she is.
Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie from the Knowledge Translation team, and I'm going to very briefly talk to you about communities of practice. So the first question you might have is, what is a community of practice? So this is a definition from someone named Etienne Wenger, and he is considered to be the father of communities of practice. So he informs all of the information that I'm sharing with you today. So he defines communities of practice as groups of people who share a concern or a passion for something they do, and they learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. And so there's some important distinctions of a community of practice that make it unique compared to other methods of gathering people together. The first is the domain. So a community of practice is not merely a club of friends or a network of connections between people. It has an identity that's defined by a shared domain of interest, and membership implies a commitment to that domain and therefore a shared competence, so to speak, that distinguishes members from other people. So it's different than, say, a network you may belong to where you don't know the other members. The second piece that makes it unique is the community. So in pursuing their interest in whatever the domain is that's bringing people together in this community of practice, members engage in joint activities, discussions, they help one another, they share information, they build relationships basically that enable them to learn from one another, and they care about their standing with each other as well. And the last piece that makes a community of practice unique is the fact that it's not merely a community of interest. It's not, for example, people who like certain kinds of movies. It's basically a community where the people who are a part of it are practitioners, as what we call them. They develop a shared repertoire of resources. They share experiences. They share stories. They share tools or even co-create tools. And they discuss ways of addressing reoccurring problems in their practice. And they share that experience together. And this takes sustained time and interaction to do. And lastly, what's the benefit of a community of practice? So here are some very top level benefits, and of course there are more. But the first one is peer-to-peer learning, of bringing people together so that they can learn from one another in a space where they feel comfortable sharing their expertise and knowledge with one another. The second is that new relationships are developed. So you're bringing together people that might not otherwise have had the chance to get together and share their knowledge and experiences with one another. The third is innovative problem solving. So in a good community of practice where there's a sense of trust and security, people aren't afraid to be innovative and creative in their problem solving, and you can get some really cool ideas out of a group of people who are connecting as a community of practice. And lastly, there's also the opportunity for collaboration or partnership on projects for people who are in that community of practice together. So that's a whistle-stop tour of what a community of practice is, what are the things that make it different than the other ways that we may organize people, and what some of the benefits are. And I hope that was helpful.
The term community of practice is of relatively recent coinage, even though the phenomenon it refers to is age-old. The concept has turned out to provide a useful perspective on knowing and learning. Communities of practice are formed by people who engage in a process of collective learning in a shared domain of human endeavor. Think of a tribe learning to survive, a band of artists seeking new forms of expression, a group of engineers working on similar problems, a clique of pupils defining their identity in the school, a network of surgeons exploring novel techniques, or a gathering of first-time managers helping each other cope. In a nutshell, communities of practice are groups of people who share a concern or a passion for something they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. Not everything called a community is a community of practice. A neighborhood, for instance, is often called a community, but is usually not a community of practice. So what are the characteristics of a community of practice? 3 characteristics are crucial. Beverly will briefly explain.
Let me begin with the first characteristic, the domain. A community of practice is not merely a club of friends or a network of connections between people. It has an identity defined by a shared domain of interest. Membership, therefore, implies a commitment to the domain, and therefore a shared competence that distinguishes members from other people. Now to the second characteristic, the community. In pursuing their interest in their domain, members engage in joint activities and discussions, help each other, and share information. They build relationships that enable them to learn from each other. They care about their standing with each other. A website in itself is not a community of practice. Having the same job or the same title does not make for a community of practice unless members interact and learn together. And the third characteristic, the practice. A community of practice is not merely a community of interest. People who like certain kinds of movies, for instance. Members of a community of practice are practitioners. They develop a shared repertoire of resources such as experiences, stories, tools, and ways of addressing recurring problems. In short, a shared practice.
It is the combination of these 3 elements that constitutes a community of practice, and it is by developing these 3 elements in parallel that one cultivates such a community.
This e-learning video is produced and brought to you by Skills Academia. To learn more, please refer to the original source and read more about social learning theory and how to build a community of practice. You can do this by visiting the website below. We are grateful.
All right. Okay, thank you so much for staying through those videos. That's very important because that is an important part of the basic 5, which is, about building a community of practice. So I've shared with you, giving you some background, a little warm up on that. For those who are still managing to be still here, I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you replay viewers. So now, looking at my notes, I gave you the history of the book, how it started with 1 sheet of paper around 2019. Had an opportunity to move up to 5 sheets of paper, got an opportunity to turn it into a notebook. They actually received a 3-ring binder. They received colored pencils, colored pens, pen holder. I think that was about 50 pages it was. They had a couple of word searches and things in there. That was the beta group in 2023. So shout out to the beta group. They all know who those members were. Appreciate y'all. So now on to the book reading. Giving you the history. I've done some shout outs. I've shared with you how to subscribe to the link tree. I'll drop some links where this video will be posted so you can see how to do that. I've invited you to schedule your complimentary consultation. We do individual and group coaching, small and large groups. I mentioned that the coaching will include this, the Basic 5 second edition, and also Rodale's Basic Organic Gardening. And then I said I was going to mention that there's a coming matriculation program. And what that means is I have a 3-year program. 3 levels are calendula, which was this beta group. We have chamomile and we have dandelion. And that just has to do with, just have to give things labels and places to be filed. So my brain works. And by the third year, really some people are ready by year 2, but by the third year at the latest, if you want to be a market gardener, you'd be able to be one. If you want to grow at production level, or if you want to create any type of value-added products, you'd be able to do that. You'd also be able to be a private contractor with the Georgia Green Project. I have various opportunities to manage plots. So it would be a plot manager training. If you've already worked with the Georgia Green Project, that time in the field will count towards this opportunity that's going forward. And that's all I wanted to tell you about that. More information on the matriculation program will be coming out with the hard launch of the book in the fall. And the hard launch just means that there'll be, book signings, and I'll be like actively promoting the book. All right, so here we go. Okay, so I said I was going to read the table of contents to you, and I'm going to read chapter 1. And I think that's, and I will read about the author. It's a little bit more about that than what's on the back cover. And that's it. I'll tell you the components of the book. There's a glossary. There are some additional resources. There are pages in the back for your investigation notes. You'll learn what that is as you read the book. There's places for you to plug in things. There's a chapter for each of the 5. So we have the introduction to community of practice. I'm going to read that to you today, and then I'll thank you for your time and log off. There's the planning chapter, where we have a gardener's toolbox and teach you how to work the investigation notes. We have plotting, which has container gardens, windowsill gardens, raised beds, in-ground gardening, community gardens, hydroponics, aquaponics, square foot gardening information. I have the planting component. We have pampering, which has some basic plant nutrient science, amending and fertilizing, composting. We talk about watch, water, and weed, pruning, and heat and cold protection, keeping in mind that all of this information in this book is introductory information, and students are encouraged to have a separate journal, an additional journal to take further notes. To dig more deeply is what it's called. And then we have the pulling, which is the 5th component. Pulling has to do with the harvesting, seed saving, preservation, and storage, donating, value-added products. I mentioned at the top when I was talking about the matriculation program, putting the garden to bed and cooking and eating. There's actually a place for you to create a recipe. Maybe we will solicit recipes for a cookbook in the future. And then I have some concluding remarks. I mentioned investigation notes, glossary, additional resources. So, introduction. Thank you for being here. This book is written for novice urban gardeners and other interested individuals. If that is you, you are reading the right book at the right time. You are also entering a learning community where you are invited and welcome. There are only 2 criteria for this community. First, you are a reader. I knew that you were out there. Readers who prefer a direct, straightforward way of gathering information about a new topic, simple with simple resources. Some of you have the ebook. Ebooks are your jam. Maybe you are active on Goodreads and leave reviews there. You can have the full experience with your personal garden journal. Don't have a garden journal? There are plenty to choose from depending on your style and budget. I recommend a blank or line journal for the first 2 years to log your thoughts, draw your maps, and make your investigation notes. Some of you have the paperback, and you are excited to do all the writing, note-taking, crossing out, and adding directly to the book. If you are not excited about that, get excited. Your notes and drawings could be family heirloom notes one day. Maybe you are like me and choose to have both digital and handwritten support. The ebook contains all active links, whereas the 8.5 by 11 version has ample space for expressing your creativity directly in the book. No matter your gardening experience, I believe every aspect of gardening can be an opportunity to grow in many ways, including creativity and order. Being a reader implies both creativity and order, so criteria 1 met. Secondly, you're interested in learning more about urban gardening. Maybe the words competent, confident, and sustainable drew you to this book. Did you pick it up at a book signing or a farmer's market? Was it the table display or the beautiful book cover? For reasons you will visit here soon, your interest in urban gardening meets the second criteria. Okay, I mentioned being straightforward, so let me get to it. A Georgia Green Project of Colorado LLC, a GGP, is in the business of developing competent, confident, and sustainable urban gardening communities of practice. The term communities of practice is relatively modern, but this type of group learning dynamic has existed since ancient times and has three primary components. Domain. Defined by a shared domain of interest, membership implies a commitment to the domain and a shared competence that distinguishes members from others. Though domain is not necessarily recognized as expertise outside the community. Community. In pursuing their interest in their domain, members engage in joint activities and discussions, help each other, and share information. Dry mouth. They build relationships that enable them to learn from each other. Practice. Members of a community of practice are practitioners who develop a shared repertoire of resources. This should all be sounding familiar. Third time, I'm obviously trying to make a point about communities of practice, right? This takes time and sustained interaction. To be a member of a community of practice is to be an active practitioner in the domain. For Georgia Green Project, our domain, community, and practice are as follows. Our domain is interested and committed to equipping urban gardeners and others to be active in their local food system. We are learning to grow, harvest, and preserve to support our common interests. It will not be discussed in this primer, but the GGP domain also includes actively learning about and engaging in civic activities that support our interests. Our community is a community of practice within the community of global food sovereignty. Our community includes other urban gardeners, local farmers markets, and local legislators. We also have urban garden educators, community garden landholders, and food justice organizations in our community. We build relationships through shared learned experiences, including our Facebook group and reading this book and others in the Basic Five series. Our practice includes implementing the Basic Five curriculum, working with a GGP coaching cohorts and private coaching groups. Our practice allows for learning and opportunities to grow food, flowers, and herbs together. As a reader of this book, you are now a member of a Georgia Green Project of Colorado LLC community of practice. No matter your location, station in life, or level of gardening skills, reading this book has made you a practitioner with us. As you enter the GGP community of practice, you can relax. There are no mistakes in gardening, just lessons learned and shared. This book is a primer written with ground thumbs and novice gardeners in mind. I will lead with science and encourage you to dig more deeply on your own. Nothing in this book is a new or unique technique or thought. Our ancestors started as egalitarian societies that had to live from the sustenance they could forage and eventually grow. I hope this book stirs your intuition and the ancient wisdom we have all inherited. The white spaces in this book are intentional. You can use the space to make notes, draw maps, keep track of your investigations, color your charts, scratch things out, highlight, and document your thoughts as you go through this experience and more. The journal prompts allow you to focus on your thoughts, feelings, and observations. There are no right or wrong answers. I am a witness to the fact that the more time you spend studying, writing, drawing, and investigating, the more competent and confident you will become in your journey of supporting your plants. Just watch out for the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where individuals with limited knowledge or ability in a particular domain tend to overestimate their competence, while those who are more skilled often underestimate their abilities. You will never know everything. If you come across a gardener who thinks they know everything, run as fast as you can. There is no one way to garden. All gardeners have their own pedagogy. You will develop your own over time. This primer will introduce you to basic urban gardening principles, techniques, and tips to support your journey and help you develop your gardening style and methods. I hope you find this book engaging, empowering, and fun as you learn about the basic 5: planning, plotting, planting, pampering, and pulling with the Georgia Green Project LLC community of practice. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I have a few minutes left. I don't see anyone here left on the Zoom to receive the questions, so I am going to do the commercial one more time, and then I will log off. And as I mentioned, everything that I'm asking you to subscribe to or to buy or any of that, the links will be wherever I share this video. All right, so I'm going to ask you again to subscribe to the link tree, which is a GGP 33. When you go to that, I think I can share that. Let me see. Hurry up. Do still have time? It's not there, but I can get it there really easily. So we can close that. Okay, so let me share the screen so you can see this link tree page and you'll know that you're in the correct place. Share screen. And here we go. All right. So there you see the link tree page. You see here the URL code to get there. But if you go to this page, you'll see where we are. You can order your books here. You can. This was the link for this Zoom that we're having right now. You can get to the website. You can join the Facebook Community of Practice Facebook group. You can find me on Instagram. You can find our YouTube page. Looking forward to building that up. I'm working with a marketing consultant around that now. You can click to donate to Urban Garden Education. And you can also go here. You can donate here. You can email me here. This is TikTok again. And then you can go to the store and see here. If you click on here, it will take you to this page. Right, and this is where you can see the book is available in more places than Amazon. It's going to take about a few more days, I think, to really show up. Like if you put in this big old long title of the book, it'll show other places. I've seen it. It's published it. I saw some place in Italy and another foreign language where it was advertised. I appreciate that. Oh, shout out to the editor, publisher. Sheila writes books. You'll be able to see how to contact her if you want to, retain her services to help you. She is an independent publisher and an author of quite a few books. That information is also in the front of this the book here. But anyway, you see the page where you can order it here on. You can order it here as a paperback. Right, and you can order it as on Kindle, same contents, but it's an ebook. Kindle is an application as well as a device, so you can add the application and read it on your phone, read it on your tablet, read it on your desktop on the Kindle, and then also keep forgetting to mention that I created an e-resource. So this is only less than 30 pages, but it is each of the 5 components. There are links that will support you in each of those 5 components, and there's also some additional links that will support you in like food justice work and things like that. That is in the 2nd edition. That's going to be probably updated more often than that. I will always only charge $5 for that. But that's just to support. I really created this e-document to support people that went through the winter intensive. In the winter intensive, there are no labs. It's just all lecture. And so this was just to support their lecture components. All right, so that's all I have to say about this activity. Let me stop sharing the screen. And again, I am a Mama Ote, the Sister Ote of a Georgia Green Project. I am a food apartheid abolitionist. And I appreciate you for tuning in. For those that did tune in, I appreciate you who will choose to purchase this book as an individual. For those who choose to use this book as a guide to coach a group of individuals, that a group is anywhere from 2 to 12. A group, I coach anywhere from 2 to 12 people, smaller, large groups, or your own endeavor to coach a group. This will support you. Right, it's not going to give you every single step, but it's definitely going to give you enough information. It's a lot of information and resources. Right, lots of places to take notes. It's an academic endeavor. Right, the coaching is academic, so you get the lecture and the lab where I'll come out, or we work together in a growth site. And that will be the same thing, same model that you would use with whomever it is that you would coach. Maybe I'll have a train the trainers training. All right, so that's all I have. Thank you so much for tuning in. I said I was going to hang out for 45 minutes. We are 41 minutes in. So appreciate you again. Hey, Facebook, I see you out there. I think that's all I have to say. I will be uploading this to YouTube. So, hey, YouTubers, subscribe to the YouTube channel of Georgia Green Project on YouTube. We are Sister Ote Praise on Instagram. We are Sister Ote Praise on Facebook. We are a Georgia Green Project of Colorado LLC on Facebook. And I will make all of those links and ways to connect with me available wherever I have this video uploaded. So thanks again. I appreciate you all. I'm so grateful that the timing of this is perfect with that new moon energy. So let's set some intentions to, create some competent, confident, and sustainable urban gardening communities. Thank you for allowing me.